Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bulletproof Hygiene podcast. I am Charissa Wood.
I'm Brittany Simon.
And we are super excited to have you guys joining us. This is actually our first solo podcast. And it's actually a super special edition because Brittany and I don't live in the same state. So it's super special that we get to be together. I am in the Atlanta, Georgia suburbs, and Brittany is down in South Florida. She'll tell you a little about that as well. But it's just super cool to do our first one side by side together. You might have heard our very first episode, which was when Dr. Craig Spodak and Peter Bolden introduced us through the Bulletproof Dental Practice podcast. We worked together with them. We are kind of the hygiene segment of that. And so just starting out, we wanted you guys to get to kind of know who we are, why we're here, why should I be listening to these people? Why do I care what they have to say? So we wanted to share a little bit of background about who we are and why we're passionate about what we do and what our goals are for this podcast. So I'm going to roll it over to my favorite partner in crime, Brittany Simon, and let her tell you a little bit about herself.
Limited options. Just kidding. And bias, a little bias too.
Lots of bias.
I love you too. Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Brittany Simon, and I'm obviously a registered dental hygienist. I work at the Spodak Dental Group as the lead hygienist for the last 2 years. And Charissa and I will dive into kind of some of the ways that we have made some changes in our individual departments and our separate practices. And Charissa and I have really unique kind of styles. We're similar but different. The practice that I work at is multi-specialty. Everything's under one roof. There are 8 hygienists there, lots of GPs, and Charissa works in, an office where there's multiple locations. You're the lead over that, but it's a completely similar but different experience, right?
Correct.
Lots of the same challenges, lots of unique challenges. So we kind of help each other brainstorm. And I think one of our superpowers is that our differences kind of help us a lot, in regards to brainstorming and problem solving. So I love that about our team, about the Bulletproof Hygiene team. But a little more about my professional background. I have an AA degree, AS in hygiene, Bachelor of Applied Science in hygiene, and I graduated originally in 2012. And I, had an interesting experience at first where I was temping for a long time, couldn't really find my long-term dental home. I really felt passionately and strongly about taking the very best care of patients, about the oral systemic link, which I know you're so passionate about practicing to the full extent of my licensure. And I kind of ended up finding that home at the Spodak Dental Group in 2014. So I've now been there for 6 years. And I feel like when I first got there, small fish in a giant pond, had no idea what I was doing. I was like, oh my God, have I ever been a hygienist in my life? And I just learned on the fast track so many things. I've gotten to collaborate with so many amazing people, so many amazing GPs, so many amazing specialists and other hygienists and even admin and, everyone on the team I've learned so much from. So a lot of my professional growth has happened as a side effect of joining the Spodak Dental Group and having that opportunity. What about you?
So I am kind of a hygiene dinosaur. I feel like I have been practicing. This will be my 25th year this summer. And so I have an associate's degree, and I graduated straight out of school and went to my first practice and was there for about 14 years. I did dip my toe in the water of corporate dentistry for about 9 months and decided that was definitely not the right fit for me. But I will say, as in everything in life, I definitely had some really positive takeaways. That's where I learned how to effectively double book. So I took that skill forward with me. So, when I first started as a hygienist, one of my biggest drivers was I loved talking with people. I loved working with people. But I also knew I really wanted to have a family in the future. And so I wanted something that was very flexible for, days and hours and that sort of thing. But that also made a good income and a good living. And I got to really invest in people around me. So that was kind of my driver. And for my first 14 years, it was awesome. I really liked what I did. I liked working with the team. I liked seeing my patients. I like how when I went home at the end of the day, I wasn't taking work with me, I was home, it was separate. I got to go home and do that. And then life necessitated a change for us where I needed to pick up an extra day of hygiene. And I started looking around and I stumbled upon Atlanta Dental Spa. And that was a real big game changer for me in my profession because it went from just being a good job to an absolute passion. And I know we'll talk about it more in future podcasts, but for me, it was that oral systemic link, like really like that clicking for me and understanding that, oh my gosh, I have a big responsibility here. And I'm not just like talking with my patients about what they did this weekend. Like I'm making an absolute impact in their health. And I love it. I love it. Love it. So my progression with Atlanta Dental Spa is I've been there now for 11 years. There was a little bit of overlap where I was kind of part-time between both of my offices. But I'm also the team lead, like you said, and it is a different dynamic for us because we do have 4 different locations. So that creates a little more of I'm a little jealous that you guys are all under one roof because you can just like go in the next room and have a conversation. Absolutely. And so I'm still kind of working that out. And I will say, I totally agree that we have this really great synergistic relationship. Because where I am weak, Brittany is very strong. You know, I'm kind of stepping into this team lead thing here new, and I'm going to lean on you a lot for that. And I'm excited about that. So I do think collaboration is where it's at. And so I know that's one of the biggest reasons that we are wanting to start Bulletproof Hygiene. Absolutely. Is because we see there's kind of a void, there's kind of a gap out there. We've lived in that gap. Right. You know, I just think we have such a unique position as hygienists to really, really take care of people and take care of ourselves and really build something amazing. And so I know that's a driver for us. Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about personal life, so absolutely. That they kind of know who we are. You want to share a little bit about you? Sure.
Yeah. So I almost introduced myself again. Hello, everyone. I'm Brittany. Yes. So I am an artist. I like to paint like kind of ocean life and animals, acrylic on canvas, and I have a home studio. Really, really enjoy that. I used to do commission work and it used to be a job for me. And then I decided the job part of it made me unhappy. So I actually just am not accepting commissions anymore and I'm doing it just for fun. And honestly, it is the key. Like it is the key. I absolutely love just doing it for fun.
And I think because nobody likes to plug themselves, but you need to give your link so people can actually see how talented you are, because she is extremely talented. So where can they see your work?
Brittany Rose Paintings on Instagram.
There we go. Check it out.
Thank you, Charissa.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm jealous I don't have those talents.
Yes, but I do love paintings from a young age. It's been like a long-term passion of mine. I sold my first piece when I was 12.
Nice.
Yes, to my uncle. He was slightly biased, of course. But other than that, I'm very athletic. I grew up playing soccer and football, and I know that's something that Charissa and I have in common. Charissa was also very athletic, grew up playing like volleyball and soccer and all that stuff, right?
Yes, basketball, yep.
Basketball, the whole thing. I love sports. I'm very athletic. I like going to the gym. I like health. And otherwise, I just really enjoy learning too. Really like learning. I'm super nerdy, like to read. And I'm currently pursuing an MBA in healthcare management from Johns Hopkins, the Carey Business School. And honestly, it's been such an adventure so far. It's an adventure that I'm really, really glad that I have like decided to take a part in, because I think that, like we touched on before, I really think in regards to Bulletproof, it's going to make us a more dynamic team. I think that it's great to have business perspective because we have such a strong clinical perspective right now, you know, but I think it's great to get big picture knowledge, understand the overriding kind of business aspect of dentistry and dental hygiene, and be able to use business speak. Like It's very important to me. So I'm learning a lot of new things in that regard. And it's been, as you know, an adventure, because math is not one of my strengths. I'm way outside of my comfort zone with accounting and statistics and all that stuff. But I feel like a lot of my greatest adventures in life and a lot of the best things that have ever happened have been so far out of my comfort zone. And then when it's done, I'm like, oh my God, I did it, you know, and it's so fulfilling. So that's what's going on in my personal life right now. Otherwise, Charissa and I are collaborating. We're like, you know, we became the best of friends kind of during quarantine. We wrote a book together during quarantine on hygiene, and we spoke every day, and we FaceTime every day still. And although we're in different states, as Charissa mentioned, you know, you're kind of at this point my confidant, and I think it goes both ways. And we really, really, really are just passionate about hygiene and making our profession the best that it can be, and really paying it forward. Because for me, I feel like I've been given so much. Like I feel like people have helped me and given me a real leg up, and I've had so much mentorship, including mentorship from you, mentorship from a lot of people that I work with, that we really do feel just like humbled and amazed at the growth that we've been able to achieve with each other's help. And I know that that's our come from and why we want to pay it forward, you know? Do you want to share a little bit about your personal life? I know I got off on a tangent.
No, you're good. So I am an old married lady. We will celebrate our 25th anniversary this year. I have 2 teenage boys. I am your quintessential soccer mom. They do both play soccer. My husband and I both played soccer in high school growing up too. So it's kind of a fun family thing that we enjoy doing. I love to read. You and I both share a passion for growing and learning and stretching ourselves. I agree with you. Like that's what life is about. You know, that stagnation, getting bored, that's where we really see a lot of issues in life happening. So
growing or dying.
yes, correct. Growing or dying. I totally agree with that. And so you're right. That's one of our big goals in Bulletproof Hygiene is we want to keep everybody moving forward one foot after the other. And, you know, sometimes it gets a little overwhelming when you look at everything out there and you think, I can't do all that. But you can do one thing and then you can do one thing and you can do one thing. So I really hope that you have also been a mentor to me as well. And so I think that's how this is supposed to work. You know, the whole iron sharpens iron is how this is supposed to work. So, I also am a mentor to a high school girls group through our church. And I've been with this particular group for about 6 years. And I love these sweet girls. I definitely have a passion for mentoring people and really connecting with them, whether it's patients or high school girls or other hygienists. And so I think that's kind of me personally. We've got some really exciting things coming out this year that we want to talk about. So I know Brittany mentioned our book. It's Bulletproof Hygiene. We also recorded about 18 hours of video content, which is currently being edited. Because we're putting out a kind of a mastery training online video course. And so we are hoping that the book and the video training should be coming out in March. We will definitely keep you posted on that. We also have a super exciting summit coming up in July out in Austin, Texas.
I'm beyond myself. I'm like beside myself excited because there are going to be real people there, real humans in person.
Yes, 2020 was bizarre. So we are definitely hungry for some face-to-face connection. So yeah, check it out on our bulletproofhygiene.com or our Mighty Networks app just to get more information about that. It is July 9th and 10th in Austin, Texas. We've got that rolling out. And then obviously we've got the podcast. So stick with us, subscribe to our channel here so that you can stay abreast of what we've got going on. Yeah, we're super, super excited.
Yeah. And I kind of want to add, there's this part of me that, years ago, I don't know. I feel like for me earlier on in life, I don't want to get too deep, but it was like, I wasn't getting much of a leg up. I wasn't getting much help, maybe it's like, I didn't know how to ask, or maybe it was like the people around me didn't know that I needed help or something.
Maybe you didn't even know that there was something different
out
there.
Maybe possibly. And I'm not even just talking about career. I'm talking about life in general too. But when I think you and I share this in common, but we're both like, if I want something, I'll go get it. I will overcome all the obstacles. I don't care if someone gives me a leg up kind of thing. But in the past, I've had kind of like this thought of like, no, I had to learn the hard way. So you learn the hard way. Like I have felt a little bit of like a chip on my shoulder about like, no, like I had to work really hard. You go work really hard. But now I've realized like we all get to Earth, and as soon as we're born, everyone's like, oh, here's all the things we've learned in the last million years. Like now you have to learn all this stuff. And like everyone is in this process of like catching up basically. And I think that in Bulletproof Hygiene, really my goal and from my heart is I don't want to make other people's lives as difficult or challenging. I want to make our challenges easy for other people.
Correct.
I want to give other people like the trick, like if there is a trick, if there's a shortcut, here, have it, because we're all on this journey together. Like I said, later on in life, I have received a lot of mentorship and help, and I've collaborated with a lot of people. And I feel like I have had an unfair leg up in some instances, and those things have been life-changing for me. So I think that we want to change people's lives in that way too. Like I want to pour forward all of the shortcuts and all of the ways that things can be as easy as possible so that people can work smarter and not harder and not be in the constant struggle or feel like they're alone. And I think that that's one of the big things that we want to relay in the book, in the training, in the podcast, like that's really important to me. Like I really want to say, hey, it's been hard. Let's make it easier for you.
Yeah. And I want to speak to that too. And I absolutely agree with that. So like we said, we're similar, but we're different. So like Brittany just said, she kind of had the chip on her shoulder of like, I had to learn it. So now you have to learn it. Yeah. I was a little bit different from, I felt really insecure about who I was as a hygienist. I almost felt like, even though I'd been practicing for 14 years, I still kind of felt like this baby, quiet hygienist. And I didn't really know, I didn't have a lot of confidence. I was letting a lot of fears kind of run my mindset and the decisions I was making. And I didn't realize that until I kind of stepped into a new place. And so I've really grown. Like, for example, like I said, when I was looking for a new day of hygiene to pick up a new day and I saw the ad on Atlanta Dental Spa, I literally looked at the website and said the words to my husband out loud, I could never work there. That's way too nice for me. And I looked at all these other offices and no one was hiring. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm just going to go take a resume by. And I literally like had this feeling walking in, like, I'm going to just fake it till I make it. Hopefully like nobody will know, like I'm a faker. I felt like I just didn't know all the things. I had just kind of been doing the same thing over and over and over. So yeah, I think that's another aspect that I want to bring is there's something new. There's something exciting. You don't have to know all the answers. There's room to grow. And we want to help do that. We understand the fear mindset that can be holding you back. And we want to help you break through that because there's so much fulfillment on the other side of that.
Yeah. And I want to say too, in a profession where there's a lot of A-type personalities, like naturally we kind of gravitate toward this because we're working on all these like intricate little detailed things. Like I think that's very much the personality of people in dentistry, right? Like, and it kind of has to be for us to be working on things this small all day, you know, and removing the calculus and, you know, paying attention to the details and reading the probe and, you know, all the little intricacies that come with hygiene and dentists as well. But I just think that it's so important to remember that we're all on a spectrum. We're all on the learning spectrum. We're all on a journey. No one has all the answers. Like there are a lot of people that I look at and I'm like, wow, they literally know everything. I know nothing. Like, but it's not about comparison. Like we are all on the spectrum and the journey together. And I really think that we need to have an open dialogue about where we all are, address some of the common fears that we have, the things that are holding us back. Because what I've realized over the years is when I actually stop and pause and take a look at what is actually holding me back, sometimes it's so small and trivial, and it's been holding me back for so long. And it's like something that could have been overcome if someone else had said, hey, like I see this in your life, you know, or if I had just realized and had enough self-awareness to say, hey, this is a really small belief, but it's like having a big impact on me and it is holding me back and it has for years if I think about it. So we're going to talk about a lot of what those common things are and maybe what some of our unique belief systems have been, talk about what the impact is of our beliefs, our personal automatic thoughts that we don't question every single day, how those are impacting our day-to-day hygiene life.
Right. Yeah. And I think one of those beliefs that most hygienists, I would say across the board, because like you said, we're kind of those A-type personalities. Most of us, if we're being really honest with ourselves, are perfectionists. Oh, sure. And so there's that part of us that like wants to get it right and perfect every time. And that's not reality. Yeah. And so we kind of stay stuck in our place because we don't want anybody to know that we're not perfect or we didn't get that. And so there's a lot of grace here with us too, because Brittany and I are the first to say, like, we've done it wrong a lot of times. We've been stuck a lot of times. And yeah, if we can help you kind of, you know, break out and step out of that, that is our whole mission. And that's why we're here, because when we get stuck in our own heads, what we don't necessarily think about is how that's impacting the hundreds of thousands of patients that we get to touch. And when we're stuck, they're stuck. And our teams absolutely get stuck. So that's why we're here. We're here to talk a lot about those things because the psychology behind it really, really matters. We want to talk a lot about our whys and why we're here and what our mission and goals are, because that's really important to be focused and understand that. We want to talk about team culture a lot because you guys know, I mean, you're walking into your practice every morning and if it's stressful or if it's dysfunctional or if it's amazing, like regardless of what it is, you know, that's going to run the course of your day and that's going to run your attitude for the day. So that's a big thing to us. And then obviously being hygienist patient care is like number one to me. So teaching how, all our tips and tricks for what we've learned on that, whether it's the verbiage we use or the actual, techniques that we're using or the technology that we're using. There's just so much to talk about. So we are super, super excited for you guys to be joining us, and we want you along the journey. And just like we've been sitting here saying, collaboration is a big part of it. Mentorship is a big part of it. We absolutely have to hear from you. Please send us comments. Please send us questions. We want this to be an open dialogue. Check us out on Mighty Networks, Bulletproof Hygiene, because that is going to really be our best forum for us to really kind of get down to the nitty gritty and talk to each other. Yeah. Because we know, based off just the two of us together, you guys have a whole lot of answers we don't know yet. Yeah. So we need to hear from you to know what you're doing that's working, and vice versa, so that we can really, really build this community to be the best it can be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we know that there are a lot of known unknowns, things that we know are questions and we don't have all the answers to, but there are a lot of unknown unknowns too. So we want to know kind of from your perspective, what's going on in your world. And it's Mighty Networks. It's an app you can download. So Mighty Networks, and then you search Bulletproof Hygiene, and it is a private closed forum where you get direct access to Charissa and I and the other people involved in the community. It is a network where you can see all of our upcoming events. It's basically everything in a nutshell, all of our resources regarding the book, the summit, if there are any other events that we're planning throughout the year, the video, you have access to the video content. So it's a really great resource where we just kind of plugged everything into the same place. So it makes everything easy, basically. That was the purpose behind that. But yeah, Charissa and I'm just so glad to be here with you. I know that this has been a long time coming. I just want to say how much I respect you as a clinician. I've learned so much from Charissa. She is a wealth of clinical knowledge. She is one of the most ethical providers I've ever met. She is highly successful in her career and in her family life, her personal life. She produces actually upwards of $500,000 a year. She's a double booked schedule. And I think that maybe we can touch a little bit on that just to give each other our unique backgrounds in regards to that. But I say that, and, a lot of people get kind of antsy and have feelings when hygienists or dentists talk about money and income and production. But I just want to throw it out there that anytime that Charissa and I are talking about money, we completely recognize and understand and believe strongly that high patient care, ethical patient care, and evidence-based decision-making, and high level of assessment, treatment planning according to what the patient actually needs, presenting the best treatment options first, and allowing the patient to choose, empowering the patient to choose, because now they have education and information, is the way that happens. So it's never profitability and numbers first, because that is not sustainable. That's not where our hearts are at all. It's just a happy side effect of what we love to do, taking the very best care of patients. So I just want that to be crystal clear to everyone. If you have feelings about numbers first, I challenge you to question where that feeling is coming from. It's probably from a past experience, in your own life, or feelings that you have about numbers and money, but we talk about it as the happy side effect of taking the very best care of our patients. So when I say that about Charissa, it's because she truly is. And just as a little background, we mentioned that Charissa and I kind of started collaborating in 2018. It was because our doctors, Dr. Craig Spodak and Dr. Peter Bolden, kind of set us up on a blind date. We went to, did I visit you before AOSH? I think I did.
Yes.
Okay. So Ashley, who's a hygienist at the Spodak Dental Group, and I, our docs kind of said, hey, there's this unicorn hygienist at Atlanta Dental Spa, and she's, producing this much, and she's just so amazing, and she's such a great leader and all this stuff. And the docs kind of, pre-framed like that. And, naturally Ashley and I's response was like, oh, she must be doing something wrong. It's definitely her. We don't suck. It's her. She's doing something, just like that normal human response when you feel like insecure about something, you're not doing enough. So Ashley and I were kind of like, what is she doing up there? So we go visit her for a day, and it was pleasantly surprising and also very challenging, because we discovered that Charissa was actually practicing to the full extent of her licensure. She was practicing so ethically. She had this just deep, amazing connection with her patients, just the way that she was communicating with them and rolled them to yes. They really got what she was saying. And I could just tell, we could just see so clearly her passion for what she does. Your love for your patients was so clear to us, and we agreed 100% with your treatment planning and your presentation, and and Charissa does run a double book schedule, so I'll let her go into the details of that. But that was something new for Ashley and I to see too, because we're both single book, so that's something unique. That's a unique experience that Charissa can shine a lot of light on. But I would just like to introduce Charissa in the clinical aspect as just a super ethical provider, someone who genuinely cares, who's super intelligent, who has pursued intentionally a lot of on purpose continuing education. You're very involved in AOSH, which is American Academy of Oral and Systemic Health. Yeah. Very, very active in that. She just pursues a lot of growth in order to give her patients the very best care. So on that, would you like to share a little bit about what you do clinically and double booking and how that works for you?
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I'm absolutely a dental nerd for sure. A couple of years ago, I went to Dr. Bolden and said, "Hey, can I have a microscope?" And he was like, "What? What do you want that for?" I was like, "I want to see the bacteria. I want my patients to see the bacteria." Yes, spirochetes are the enemy. Yes, so I can totally geek out on that. I'm sure we're gonna have a geeky podcast coming your way. But thank you for that. I really appreciate that. It's weird for me for people to say nice things. Like it's hard. I'm like, okay, good, whatever. Great. Thank you. And I'm going to throw a little bit of that back Brittany's way because Brittany is also ridiculously great at what she does with her patients and connecting with them and being extremely ethical, and really assessment is a huge thing for her. And she's been able to do that across the board within her team, which is really impressive that she's, created this amazing standard of operations and really calibration and helping hold her team to that. And it's amazing. Again, if we're talking numbers for a second, it's amazing to watch what the numbers have done within the practice because of your leadership there. So Brittany does single book and does about 400,000 in a year. And I feel like that's more impressive than what I do, because I know that's really a feat. I do double book. So what that means is I have my own hygiene assistant and I run 2 columns. So we have a couple of operatories available to us. And we basically kind of hop back and forth, and she'll seat the patient, take any necessary radiographs, update, medical history, blood pressure, all that sort of thing. She's by my side when I need to perio chart and treatment plan and take photos and all that sort of thing. So I love it because it gives me the capability to really focus on what I'm passionate about as a hygienist and really connecting with the patient. It gives me the time I need because, we're going to talk a lot about time. We understand time is the biggest barrier in hygiene and dentistry across the board. So it gives me the time to really focus on what's most important. I think that's why for me, honestly, enrollment is high, is because I have the time to really sit down and talk and show the patient and let them know what's going on so that they can make the best decisions for themselves. I am that perfectionistic A-type personality to where I've really designed all of my verbiage very intentionally. Like I've literally sat down, wrote it out, thought through what makes the most sense, what communicates effectively in the shortest amount of time. I've repetitively memorized it in the car, in the mirror, in the bathroom, to the point where I can pretty much, introduce Velscope to a patient in, 15 seconds, and I don't even really have to think about it because I've gotten myself to that point.
Something on this. Yeah. And whenever we look at the most successful people, whether it's in business or whether it's relationally or, in anything in life, it always goes back to the habits, the routine, the repetition that people have. So, I think some people, just like when we talk numbers, are turned off by like, oh, scripted and oh, verbiage, but that's not the point. It's having a framework, making it your own so that part is easy. When you're implementing it, it's one of those things that you do behind the scenes before you're in front of a patient to make that experience go as smoothly as possible, because it can be challenging on the spot to try and think of how am I going to explain this to the patient. It's good to have that practice, and it doesn't make it inauthentic. It makes it smooth. It makes it like it is coming from me, but I know what I'm going to say.
Right. Agree 100%. So yeah, I feel like that's really us in a nutshell. And that's where we hope to go this year. Mm-hmm. So I think we'll wrap it up for today. Like I said, click subscribe, and we've got so much more where this comes from. And please connect with us, because we want to know what you guys want to hear about too. Like, we know what we know, but we don't know what you want to know. So please give us a shout, and welcome to Bulletproof Hygiene.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.